Actually, I'm not particularly well qualified for this particular trip. I don't speak Chinese, and I'm not exactly a train buff. Also, I get Delhi belly on a day trip to Boulogne. In fact, I've already surpassed myself. I've arrived here with flu, which is threatening my voice, and I've got an infection in my eye. I don't know if you can see that. It was sort of all swollen and puffy a few days ago. I don't think you should notice too much because it's now spread to the other eye. It's kind of balanced itself out. Anyway, apparently it's highly contagious. Right, well, this is the beginning of the epic journey. Here we are at Kowloon Station. Got all my essential items packed in this handy travel pack here, and all my inessential items packed in this huge heavy suitcase. Now, departures is what we want. Ulaanbaatar in Outer Mongolia. Not shown. We've got his low woo, low woo, low woo, low woo. Well, it's basically low woo then. I think we'll have to start with now. Ulaanbaatar, which is our eventual destination, is right at the top, beyond the top of China, out the north-hand side. And low woo, which I think is on the way, is, so we're starting Hong Kong, going to Ulaanbaatar. Lo Wu is, yes, just there by Hong Kong. In fact, it is part of Hong Kong, to be honest, not actually into China, but it is slightly north. And the longest journey starts with a single step.
Hong Kong is an oriental Manhattan, an economic miracle built on the last outpost of the British Empire, but which in 1997 will be handed over to the People's Republic of China. My journey will take me 2,500 miles through China, home to a quarter of the world's population and most of the world's communists, across the Gobi Desert and on to Ulaanbaatar, capital of Outer Mongolia, itself once the last outpost of the Soviet Empire and now a fledgling democracy. It's a long way from home for a lawyer turned chat show host used to the comforts of a TV studio.
It means I can't speak Chinese. I can't speak Chinese. So if you get it right, you are saying I can't speak Chinese. And if you get it wrong, it demonstrates you can't speak Chinese. So there's no way you can go wrong with that expression. Travel by train in China is a wonderful experience, giving you a chance to meet the Chinese in a very free, easy way. Ni hao.
The first surprise of the trip is that Hong Kong isn't all skyscrapers. The 20-mile journey to the border takes you through open countryside. Alongside the track are the pipes which bring Hong Kong's fresh water in from China and take its sewage out again. Had the Chinese ever really disapproved of Hong Kong, they wouldn't have had to invade, just hired a couple of dodgy plumbers. The trains of the Kowloon Canton Railway look strangely familiar. They're made by the same company which makes the rolling stock for the London Underground. Even 10 years ago, this step into the communist world was for the seasoned traveller only. Now it's for the world and his wife and his sweet and sour suitcase. The Chinese town of Shenzhen is just across the border and was to be my introduction to the egalitarian world of communism, which at first sight looked remarkably like the commercial world of capitalism. With time to kill before my next train, I wandered into the station hotel, the Shangri-La. Well, if these were the rigours of communism, I felt I could live with them. Indeed, I felt I was rather messing the place up. Luckily, there was somebody there to clear up after me. At the top of the hotel, there was even a revolving restaurant. It's hard to imagine that a few years ago all this was just paddy fields. But then Shenzhen was made a special economic zone and deliberately built up to profit from its proximity to Hong Kong. Local peasants have become millionaires as a result. I don't know, if Mao Zedong were alive today, he'd turn in his dining room. But this vision of China's future was officially blessed by a recent visit from Deng Xiaoping, China's unofficial leader. Shenzhen Station, though, is much more down to earth and gave me my first taste of the popularity of real Chinese trains.
Thank you.
My next stop was to be Shanghai, 400 miles away. But the truth be told, the trains are so long, by the time I'd found my carriage, I practically walked there already.
Oh, thank you. You keep that. Right. Okay, thank you.
I had a ticket for a hard-class sleeper.
20.
Hard-class sleepers have bunk beds arranged in 3 tiers, opening directly onto the corridor. And I was lucky enough to get the top bunk. Enterprising and impressive though it was, Shenzhen was very much a westernized stepping stone to the real China I felt I'd yet to discover.
Like that? Got beer? Well, doesn't matter. Either anyone. Come there. I don't know what that is. That looks very good, but I think you're leading me astray, aren't you? Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Hang on. Whoa, hang on. What? Yes, that's fine. My uncle. Right. That's very interesting. Very interesting drink.
Cooking is a passion for the Chinese, and even in the cramped conditions of the train's kitchen, elaborate meals are prepared for the discerning customers.
Thank you. I don't know if I actually ordered this. Is this? All right, thank you. Substantial toothpicks then, in case we get bits in our teeth. That's good. Yeah, it's a silly old joke. I know, you're quite right not to laugh. You don't know what Montezuma's revenge is, do you? But I'm suffering from it from having a 5-star meal in Hong Kong. Right. These are... No, I've never had any of this, I don't think. I'd like to keep it that way in many respects. What is it like when it's alive? What is it? No. But it's its feet, isn't it? Surely not. I've heard of chicken's feet, but I've often felt happy not to eat one, really. I'm sort of cold. Is it supposed to be cold? These chicken feet are cold. No, I'll have a bit of fire water. I'm in for a good night tonight, I'll tell you. I'll go. Just the water. Here we go. Slightly difficult. Oh, this is great. It's surprising how a good half bottle of white spirit makes eating chicken's feet a whole lot easier, though it does make going to bed just a little bit harder. I think this is the way to get into this monk. That's it. Here we go. Now, this reminds me of the scene from Some Like It Hot. And as I remember it, Marilyn Monroe comes to join me in this bunk, so I'll just have to turn the camera off when that happens. Good night. Okay.
The following morning, I arrived in Shanghai, and from here I planned to make an 80-mile diversion to Shaoshan.
Not fresh to start the world out.
Shaoshan is just an out-of-the-way village, but Mao Zedong happened to be born there, so a special excursion train departs each day, pulled by China's locomotive number 1.
Do you speak English, do you, by any chance?
韶山的英语可能讲是。
英国人。
他问你会不会讲英语，讲不讲英语？
I can.
You can
会一点。
a few words.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. She said she can speak
Oh,
little English.
you speak English.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
你讲的英语很纯。
Yeah.
我
Thank
们
you.
口语不怎么样。
谢谢你
So
啊。
you're visiting Shaoshan as well?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to visit Shaoshan
Yeah.
and Chairman Mao's home area.
Right.
I've long wanted to visit this place.
So, do you live far from?
I'm from Peking.
Oh, we're a long way from home.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you bet.
So, were you the age to be like a red guard or something like that?
Oh yeah. I was one.
You was
actually.
one.
Yeah,
So,
I was one.
So you weigh the little red book and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we haven't met. My name is Lee.
Lee.
Yeah.
Hello, Lee.
I'm working for a publishing company,
All right.
and this is my card.
All right.
Really nice to meet you.
Yes, and you. Oh, I see. Yes. So you're a member of the Chinese Translators Association.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's how you
Correct.
speak such good English.
Thank you. Actually, I spent a year at Watford, UK. I studied publishing there.
In Watford.
Watford.
All right.
It's a Wishart University.
No, I come from not far from Watford.
Oh, which part of it?
I come from. Well, I live in London now, but I was brought up in Stanmore in Middlesex.
Ah.
Do you know Stanmore?
Yeah, it sounds familiar to me.
Yeah. Well, you come down from Watford through Bushy, and you get
through
to
Bushy.
Bushy,
Oh.
keep going through Bushy, you get to
brought-
Stanmore Village.
It brought my memory back.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Well, it's strange to talk about Stanmore, and we're in the middle of Hunan, province of China. But,
I see.
do you know Watford at all?
上次列车开过来了，请工作同志到站台接车。上次列车开过来了。
Shaoshan Station stands empty most of the day.
开过来了，请
3 million visitors a year used to throng through here, but now it's down to 1 train a day. The station forecourt teems with life for 10 or 20 minutes after the arrival of the train, but after that stands rather forlorn. A holiday resort after the holiday season, or maybe a party venue after the party is over. Mao's house still attracts the crowds, but they're not Maoists anymore, they're tourists.
Well, it's quite big, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was he a sort of wealthy man, or?
Not very rich, and his family is what we call the middle-class peasant family.
But they weren't farmers then.
Yeah, they were farmers.
Farmers?
Farmers, yeah.
Well, it's quite bigger than most of the farms around here, no?
You notice that it
Yeah.
says the former residence of Comrade Mao Zedong.
Right. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's the right place then.
Yeah, well.
It's a sort of washroom, I suppose, in here, is it?
Well, it seems like a kitchen.
Yeah.
It says Chairman Mao, when he was a little boy, often helped his mother doing homework here.
All right. Housework, yes.
Housework, yeah.
Absolutely. So he was a good boy to his mother.
Oh, yeah, right.
They always are, aren't they? Right. Well, this looks more like the kitchen in here, though.
Oh,
For me,
this is a
this
real
excursion was no more momentous than, say, a visit to Robert Burns' cottage. But Lee had given over the formative years of his life to Mao Zedong, caught up in the excesses of the Cultural Revolution.
So what have we got here, Lee? This is...
This is Mao Zedong's bedroom.
yeah. And that's
And
him there.
there's
Is it which one of them is Mao himself?
Mao is the first one on the right.
All right.
And his two younger brothers.
And what's this bit up here? Is there a sort of doorway or something?
I think it's a secret place, and they may have held a meeting.
That's a trap door up there.
Yeah, right.
The mouse trap door.
Mouse trap.
For Li and his whole generation, the effects of Mao's discredited ideas run deep.
How many years do you spend actually being a Red Guard?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Right, it was actual violence that you saw?
Yeah, some violence. Violence.
What, actually beating up teachers or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I didn't do that, but some people do that.
Yeah.
Did that.
Did you see that happening?
Yeah.
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 I mean, is that are those sort of nightmares coming
It's
back?
a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
It's humiliation to the humankind.
Nice, it's a little snack you get at the railway station. Tastes it's awfully like a sort of bread dough that hasn't been cooked. In fact, conceivably, you're supposed to cook it first. What do we do? This is to flavour it, is it? No, thank you. Thank you. Yes, it looks like quite strong hot chili. Is it a hot flavour? Taste it, Clive.
吃了以后，
It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much. I'm pleased I met you.
吃了以后，
Yes, I know that.
然后就
And
很
what's
快
that
的
in
就
there?
都吃下去了。
That goes straight out, yes. Well, that's kind of you. Oddly enough, I'm fully aware of that. And the rest of the compartment will be in about 5 minutes, I should think.
Shanghai in the old days was known as the Paris of the East, whore of China, queen of the Orient. The city of sobriquets is not so racy now, but business is once again booming. Smoke and steam and fumes are everywhere, but above all, change is in the air. One person who has witnessed this change for herself is an American who is a long-time resident of the old French concession district, Tess Johnson.
I mean,
Right.
one day we counted 200 construction cranes on the skyline. Now I can see like 6 or 8 without even moving.
Right,
Of
and
course, that
this-
was a racetrack.
This
Yeah.
blue roof here, like a sort of Russian church,
That's
is it?
right, Russian Orthodox Church.
Oh, it is a Russian church, yeah.
Unfortunately, now it's being turned into a stock exchange, and so they're gutting the interior of it. There were wonderful icons, Cyrillic letters
Yes.
in gold. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Then all these wonderful low buildings here were for sort of upwardly mobile Chinese and downwardly mobile Westerners, primarily refugees. And at night, the night watchman rings the bell at 8:30 and says, lock up your houses and put out your fires.
Oh,
and he
really?
rings the bell. It's not curfew. You don't have to go in, but you have to lock up your houses and put out your fires. And so you hear
great.
it at night. You can set your clock by it. At 8:30, the bell ringer comes. So why shall we go into
Yeah,
the
sure.
sunroom, into the living room?
This is a magnificent Chinese bed.
Isn't that though?
Yeah.
I think it's
Do they
wonderful.
still have beds like this?
Oh yes, actually it's the guest room bed
Yeah.
and so forth. I sleep in the other room, but I wanted one that had animals in it. And look at the animals, aren't they wonderful? All these. What is this? A pangolin or a snarky-looking creature? Of course, I also love Art Nouveau. So here I have the best of both
Yes.
worlds: combination of Art Nouveau
Nouveau.
and
Art
and
animals.
animals.
Yeah.
And it just, where else in the world could you get one that you could actually have a ceiling where it would clear the ceiling and the fan and still...
Yes.
So if I have to move into another apartment, it won't be that lucky.
What's your collection here of, what are these, model bugs?
Yes, well, I keep crickets in season. I keep live crickets, and so therefore I got interested in...
You keep live crickets?
Yes.
Yeah.
In China, if you keep birds, why not keep crickets? Actually,
yes, fair enough.
You carry them in your pocket.
When is the cricket season?
Oh, probably about July for about 100 days. You carry them in your pocket, and one of them's called the Golden Bell Singer. That's the best one to carry in your pocket. Jingling so, and you put it in your pocket in a little holder.
Yeah.
It sings to you. Why not? I mean, when you think about it.
Yes.
I mean, is it so odd?
But it's slightly odd. I mean, would you have a pet cockroach, or just...
Well, no, cricket's not the same category.
No, I know, but they're kissing cousins, though, aren't they? But
if you like bugs, you like bugs.
Yeah.
You don't like bugs.
Well, most people don't, to be honest.
Well, all right, so what they're missing.
Do you have to feed them at all,
Of course you have to feed them. In fact, at one time, the Ayi and I had 27 crickets. And we had a whole routine of how to feed all these crickets. And this is just the rest of the apartment, as you see.
It's fantastic.
And, won't you have a seat here?
Yes, thank you very much. Excellent. Oh, and this is your dog?
Yes, that's Lamb Chop, yes.
Lamb Chop?
Lamb Chop, can't you
It's
tell?
a dangerous name, isn't it, in China to call a dog?
She's quite famous. That's her picture on the cover of that magazine there.
All right.
Along with Ayi. Our amas are called Ayis
Yes.
in China. And there's Lamb Chop in the Ayi. And then
My life as a foreign
yeah,
service
she
dog.
wrote this article, you see.
Yes.
Her
My
life
Lamb
in
Chop.
Shanghai.
All
My
right.
Lamb Chop.
You intending ever to go home to America?
I'll be regarded rather strangely when I do, I'm sure.
Now, what is it about China? Because you come from, whereabouts in the States do you come
Charlottesville, Virginia.
from? Yeah. Do you have a Chinese connection in your background?
None whatsoever. This is what's so amazing to me is that somebody like me from a small, conservative southern town, why would I be drawn to China? This is my 15th year out in this part of the world.
Do you think there's any prospect of a democracy developing in China, with more than one party or anything like that?
I wouldn't think so, would you? There's such a possibility for chaos that it seems that we're always sort of teetering on the edge of chaos. And if it weren't for the strong hand of certain leaders, you just wonder if it wouldn't just really get chaotic.
Shanghai is not so much chaotic as frantic. The most populous city in the People's Republic of people. To get away from the crowds, on Sunday mornings, everybody flocks to the People's Park.
Hello.
May I ask you some questions?
Certainly.
One part of the park is known as English Corner, where the locals go just to try out their English on one another. If they happen to spot that you're a Western visitor, you're sure to attract a crowd.
Have you got Chinese?
No, I haven't got a Chinese name. I've got an English name, which is Clive. Could I get a Chinese name a bit like Clive?
Yeah, you can Clive. That's just
Clive. Clive.
That's a Russian name, isn't it?
Russian name. Do I want a Russian name, really? Is that a good name to have in
You
China?
know my name? David Copperfield.
David Copperfield.
Yeah. I know Charles Dickens very well.
Do you?
But he didn't know me.
Yes, he did. He wrote all about you, didn't he?
Yes, Kenny.
Yeah, well, hello.
What country are you in?
What country am I in?
Yeah.
I'm in China, but I come from England. Do you know England? Do you know where that is?
Yes, I know.
Well, you're the youngest English speaker I've met.
No,
No.
he's 6 years old, and no, I'm 7.
You're 7.
7
And
years
you already
old.
speak English as well as this. When you're 20, you'll be a professor of English.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You think China's opening up more to the outside world?
Yeah, we are now very busy, you see, to build our new China, you see.
Yeah.
Because most of the houses in Shanghai is so low, and now we're going to shooting up.
Yeah.
We have skyscrapers
Yeah.
too, you see.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to do
Yeah.
for our Chinese.
Yeah.
Because really we are very poor before, but
Yeah.
now we are getting richer and
Yes.
richer. Everyone have full.
Yeah, full.
Full of our pockets. Come on, let's sing a
story.
song, all right? All right, now. Head the wise, head the wise. Every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to me, me. Blossom or snow may you bloom and grow. Room and
Well, I could have stayed there to hear all the hits from The Sound of Music, But I suddenly remembered I had another train to catch. Everything in Shanghai is growing upwards, and even the trains are double-deckers. Though they're still pulled by the ubiquitous Romanian-built diesel engines. How disappointing to be leaving Shanghai, of all places, like this. In the good old days, I would have been grabbed by the coolies and stuffed in a junk. But the train was clean, comfortable and relaxed. Even the lavatories were spotless for once. Business-class travel for business-class travelers. It was too good to be true. Certainly too good to last. I was only going 200 miles up the track to Nanjing, where I'd have to change back onto one of the regular overnight services. The ordinary trains of China are crowded with seemingly limitless numbers of poor country folk making their way to the big cities to seek their fortune under the new economic order. Traveling at night, with their bundles of possessions with them, they have a sort of refugee-like quality to them, though perhaps they're really economic migrants. China lacks an efficient road system, so for them the train really is the only way to travel. My next port of call was another birthplace, Qufu, the hometown of the great Chinese philosopher Confucius. Confucius was born here in 551 BC and became an official in the local state. During his lifetime, his teachings were not especially regarded, but after his death, his sound bites of philosophy were taken up almost as a religion throughout China.
How many is it? 1, 2, 3, 5? 5. Well, that's what I'm offering you. Yeah. 5. Well, that is 5.
Naturally, I wanted to buy a copy of his works, and luckily enough, I was able to find someone who was prepared to sell me one.
Right, thank you. It's full of snappy sayings.
Confucianism was suppressed by communism, but its legacy is now back in fashion. The simple-minded tourist is even able to dress up like Confucius to have his picture taken.
You all right? Taken silk at last. Oh, excellent. That's it. Oh, I think this is more like a judge's robes. Slightly smaller size have you got? No? Oh, and a beard. Yes, absolutely. I must have a beard. Slightly small on the beard department and large on the belt department. Okay, yep. Yeah, I shouldn't move them around. I can't eat a lot through this, can you? I'm in no way behaving like a tourist here, am I? This is, I don't want... What do I do? Stick my foot out like that? Oh, and I walk. Oh, I see. Oh, right. Ah. It's not made for my size. So I just hold it like that. Hang on, I'll put this in my head.
Despite the tourist traps, there's one part of Qufu which is truly atmospheric, the Confucian forest. For 2,000 years, it has been the burial ground for Confucius and all his descendants, the family Kong. Grouped around the forest are memorials to successive generations of the family in a variety of structures and styles. Here in these ancient woods, one is surrounded by a strange calm among the dead of China's past, uncluttered by China's present. Later that night, I had to get back on the train to Beijing, along with what appeared to be the entire population of the region.
Well, there seems to be two ways of getting on this train. You either queue for half a mile or you climb in the roof. Well, I'm English, for goodness sake. I better just queue. The only disadvantage of that is that obviously you don't get on the train, do you? Excuse me. You're all in the queue for the same, yeah.
Inside the station, there were vast waiting rooms with even more people, waiting more or less patiently for a train to somewhere, or I suppose, to anywhere. As the purchaser of the higher price tickets sold to foreigners, I made my privileged way through the chaos. Until suddenly, men in a variety of uniforms took exception to our filming and arrested my cameraman.
Oh, well, it was all right in the end. We only had to wait till about it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock for another train to come in. We managed to argue our way onto that. Another couple of hours just sorting out where we were going to sleep. Unfortunately, I got into this soft class sleep, which was great. The director had to sleep hard class because it's his fault that we got arrested in the first place. But here we are, on my way to Beijing. See, the countryside is all... Well, you probably can't see it through the steamy window, but I got through the night with my sayings of Confucius, which I now know off by heart practically. Here's one, for example, that the master said, "I once spent a whole day without food and a whole night without sleep in order to meditate. I found no advantage in it. It's better to learn." I'm with him there, definitely.
So, bleary-eyed, I arrived in Beijing, which you can call Peking if you're determined to be old-fashioned about it. China's capital city is a fascinating mixture of the old and the new. Part 20th century, part Dickensian in feel, but with a definite flavour all of its own. In the timeless backwaters of Beijing, where the old men come out in the warm weather to sing songs, play cards and mahjong, and air their caged birds, I met arguably the most extraordinary person I came across throughout my entire journey. Now an English lecturer, Professor Yi had been closely involved in the founding of Mao's new China. His duties had included reviewing the position of a writer condemned by Mao. But finding no fault, he'd spoken his mind and sealed his own fate. He was sent to a labor camp in China's frozen north, where for over 20 years he was forced to work at temperatures as much as 40 degrees below zero.
So I contracted bronchitis. That's why I have so much phlegm.
Yes.
And sometimes I cough a lot.
Yeah. Do you think in modern-day China there are still people sent to labor camps for expressing contrary views, or is that a thing of the past now?
No more.
Yeah.
In China, in that field, China has made very great progress.
Yeah.
If only you are not seriously opposed to the government.
Yes. Well, we saw, around the world those pictures of Tiananmen Square when the protests built up. Do you think
that is not a matter of political opinion. That is a matter of action. At first, the demonstration was against the corruption. That was sacred. That was inviolable.
Yeah.
So I gave my full support to the students. I went there and talked with them.
This is in Tiananmen Square?
Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
Had I not been exhausted that evening, I might also have been gunned down in the street. Sorry, I'm very sorry. To this day, I'm still very sorry for those dead on the street. However, I have to confess that the crackdown was for stability, and what we badly need is stability. Now,
well, my point, so I take your point that stability is necessary and vital, but if you allow governments to do things which are not questioned and there's no challenge, then awful things can occur instead just on a grand scale. In the Great Leap Forward, where millions of people died in
not good
China
enough,
from starvation.
Not good enough. If it can be avoided, it must be avoided, because the past lessons are already very serious, too serious.
Yeah.
The Cultural Revolution was incredible for you Westerners.
Yes. So do you think the market economy is going to work for China?
Very good for China.
Yeah.
It is a lesson given by reality.
Yeah.
Why the Eastern European states have been overwhelmed, and where as the Soviet Union collapsed.
Yes.
That's a lesson.
Yes. And who is the driving force behind this? Is this Deng Xiaoping?
Of course, Deng is a great man.
Yes.
He's even more, I think, more capable than Mao.
Yes.
We hope that he can live 10 years longer, and then everything will be irreversible.
Yes. Well, it's quite likely he won't live another 10 years, isn't he? He's 88.
He's in good
He's
health.
good health.
Last year, he still went to Beidaihe to swim in the seawater.
Mao Zedong used to do that, didn't he? Go and swim and show how fit he was.
Then it's shorter. I was told that it can live longer than longer.
Oh, right. You think so? Well, that's good, because I'm not very tall. The bizarre thing is that in Tiananmen Square, the events of 1989 now seem like they never happened at all. I don't know what I expected to find. Bloodstains on the concrete, bullet holes in the buildings. Of course, everything has been restored, and even the red flags give it a carnival atmosphere, rather than a place of class struggle. Happy days are here again. The train north from Beijing takes you up to the Great Wall. It's often asserted, rather implausibly, that the Great Wall of China is the only man-made structure visible from outer space. Whatever the truth of that, it's certainly something you have to see if you're in China on your way to outer Mongolia. Stretching for 2,500 miles, the wall was originally built to keep the barbarians out, but now pulls us in. My next stop is the mining and railway town of Datong, 200 miles across the Loess Plateau. In the south of China, they grow rice. But this is mud country. Muddy fields, mud walls, mud houses. One good downpour, and you feel the whole place would just wash away. The atmosphere in Datong is a swirling mist of coal dust and sulfur, with, on a good day, just a dash of oxygen. A town still in the grip of industrial revolutionary fervor. Datong's renowned railway factory used to be famous for its steam engines. It's all diesel and electric now, but the factory cheerfully accepts visitors to see locomotives being constructed, unhampered by some of the more intrusive safety regulations, which are such a check on productivity in England. But Datong had its real glory days at the time of the Northern Wei dynasty in the 5th century AD. Dating from those days are the Yugang Buddhist caves. These feature statues and carvings of the Buddha and his disciples and events in his life cut into caves at the foot of the Wushu Shan mountain. Over half a mile of caves, over 50,000 statues, 1,500 years old. Rare survivors through China's many changes of rulers, regimes, and reconstructions. Originally, the caves had buildings in front of them, but now the Buddhas look serenely out from their island of beauty, directly over Datong's industrial wasteland. For the last stretch of my journey, I have to join what is part of the Trans-Siberian Express. This will take me in 24 hours or thereabouts to Ulaanbaatar. As it happened, the first people I met on the train were British, Queen's messengers, taking diplomatic baggage in mysterious white bags to our men in Mongolia.
Some potato salad?
Oh yeah, great, thanks.
Okay.
Do you always travel with your own food on these trains?
Yes, we do. We used to in the past use the restaurant car quite a lot, but standards are variable, and I think that's being very kind to the standards.
Well, I've had some good meals actually on the
really?
Trains coming up. Yes, they're very pleasant.
The cloud sections, no, it's from early on onwards. We get over on the UB side.
So you travel with this luxury food of corned beef and naffy salad. No, thank you. No, that's fine.
Good.
And you bring your own beer, I see.
Yes, the odd glass of beer goes down very well.
Does
breaks
it?
the monotony.
Does it? Yes.
Yes. It's actually
looks very nice.
Well, do have one.
Oh, thank you. No glass for me, then. I'll just,
of course
no, that's all right.
Well, you're the visitor.
Yeah.
No, you see, on the train, Sons of Revolution only give you so much stuff.
Yeah.
And you get a glass each and a cup with a lid each, and occasionally, if you're very lucky, you get a tin tray like this that you can put your stuff in, and that's about it. But actually, you know, it's very comfortable, and apart from the dust.
You've got a very particular. This is what? Is this first class compartment?
This is first class.
I've been near one of these before.
Well, there you go.
Is it the Foreign Office that funds you, or?
No, we pay for this ourselves.
Yeah. Well, also the Foreign Office got more money than the BBC. I think it's a triumph to get into soft class sleepers for a bit. Yeah, there's a whole new world opening up here.
Yeah. Well, it's because we have to have proper repository for the bags to keep them safe.
Naturally, the bags.
And so that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's exclusive.
But do they need that jacuzzi through there?
Yes, very much so, yes. God, he's rumbled us, Morris.
At the border, there is a lengthy delay at customs as the train is checked for traders smuggling silk to Moscow. And an even greater delay because Mongolia has a different railway gauge from that of China. It's past midnight, below zero, and in a shed at the edge of the Gobi Desert, my train is pulled to pieces.
Well, this may be all stale news to railway buffs, but I had no idea what changing the bogies involved. I had an impression of maybe somebody would come on and just pull the wheels about a bit and kick them around, but each carriage has been lifted up on enormous jacks, and the whole bogie unit's taken out and a new one hoisted in. It's a fantastic sight here.
The difference in railway gauge is a very physical demonstration of the divide between China and Mongolia. The Mongolians were the first to embrace the communist revolution, as much as anything to throw off Chinese domination. And what they got was Russian domination for something like 60 years. In the morning, the open spaces of Mongolia are quite a relief after the almost claustrophobic feel of overcrowded China. For mile after mile, there's nothing for the driver to see but the odd steppe eagle taking off from a fence post, and the odd piece of sinister-looking equipment abandoned by the Russians when they left the country 3 or 4 years ago. And every now and then, an encampment of Mongolian yurts or gurs, semi-permanent homes halfway between tents and houses, developed for their nomadic lifestyle. But mostly in Mongolia, there is plenty of nothing. On the train, elaborate Chinese food is still being made, but not in the kitchens. These exquisite dumplings are being prepared by one of the Chinese guards for himself. The restaurant car has gone Mongolian.
Could I have some soup? And then the main course is just that one. It's a roast meat with rice. You recommend that?
No drink?
No, I'll have a beer. Yes, please.
Chinese beer.
Chinese beer? Is there Mongolian beer?
No.
Okay, Chinese beer then. Fine. Excellent. Well, strange thing about this train is that further down the train there's the Chinese guard who's set himself as a little chef to eat cooking Chinese food, because the Chinese don't rate Mongolian food for some reason. And there's our friends, the Queen's messengers, who are serving out bully beef for any English people they can find. And in fact, the only person eating Mongolian food on the train is me.
Back on one of the train's heating stoves, the guard has produced a delicious meal. Perfect.
Nice drop of soup. Not quite sure about the stringy bits of meat. A bit too many of those for me, but very good drop of soup. Move on to my next course, which already arrived, which is rice with stringy bits of meat.
Ulaanbaatar, my journey's end.
Thank you very much.
Outer Mongolia is one of the classically remote places, right up there with Timbuktu and the back of beyond. The Mongolians, though, hark back to a time when their empire ruled half the world, has a miserable climate, an ailing economy, and the food is awful. Coming from Britain, I felt immediately at home. Actually, I fell immediately in love with Mongolia and the Mongolians. There are only 2 million Mongolians, only 1/3 of the population of Hong Kong, occupying more than 1,000 times the space. They're now opening up to the outside world and on the receiving end of a baffling array of cultural influences. But capitalism is now going to save the country. In a former theatre in the city's central Ulaanbaatar Square, a stock exchange has been established in which all of Mongolia's people, nomadic herdsmen the lot, can buy and sell shares in the formerly state-run industries. This brave new scheme is the brainchild of a confident young man called Zolzagl.
2 years ago, Mongolian economy was 100% state-owned.
Yeah.
Today, I can definitely say 50% of industry is now in private hands.
Yeah. So each citizen of Mongolia was given a voucher they could buy, what, the electric company or the waterworks or things like that?
Yes, each citizen born before a certain date.
Yes.
So kids who's 1 month old kid and 60 years old man, they receive vouchers.
All right. Well, as you replace the communist way of life, then there tends to be a sort of shakedown of people employed. Do you anticipate that will be a problem as state industries are privately run, need fewer people?
Certainly, some of them have to go bankrupt. And I believe somewhere around 30% unemployment rate we can respect.
30%, yeah.
And that's exactly the percent of the unemployment. I believe it's absolutely necessary if you're doing this kind of the transition from one system to the another system.
And that's a price worth paying, you think, 30% unemployment? Right.
We have to change our basics.
Yeah.
And to change basics, we really have to suffer.
Yeah.
And it's a common knowledge, and everybody have to understand it.
Right.
If somebody is dreaming that everything will be very smooth and without any pain, it's just dreamer.
Other dreams have passed away. Above the city stands a massive memorial to great Soviet achievements. Protected by a round-the-clock guard while the Russians were still in charge, it now stands slowly falling to bits. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Mongolia didn't get close to the communist ideal, and it remains a long way from a capitalist paradise. Many of Ulaanbaatar's citizens are moving out of its crumbling apartment blocks and back to their traditional gurs on the edge of the city, where traditions of hospitality remain as warm as ever. But I wonder, are these young Mongolians the nomadic herdsmen or the financial whiz-kids of the future? One way or another, I really hope Mongolia finds a way forward, and I find a way of coming back to see it succeed.
Well, Ulaanbaatar this time of the year is really quite nippy, which is why I'm wearing this Mongolian hat to keep me warm. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I look completely ridiculous, and in a sense I suppose you're right, because at this low temperature you should wear it with your flaps down like that, where I look much more sensible, don't I? Well, it's been a great journey. I've really enjoyed coming all this way, and I hope you've enjoyed following it with me. I think I've turned myself into a real traveller now. All my little gripes and whinges about diseases have gone out the window, my eye cleared up, and I've gone all the way through China eating the most exotic food in the most unusual circumstances. Not any sort of twinge. Until, that is, I accepted that corned beef from the Queen's messengers on the train on the last leg of the journey, and that has set off something which I might just have to go and deal with down there. Anyway, thanks for being with me. Bye.
Thank you.